Hi, hello everybody. Welcome to this online meeting about Urban Greenhouse Challenge 3, our third edition of the Urban Greenhouse Challenge. My name is Marta Ehers. I work for Ver Student Challenges, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about this challenge. We unfortunately cannot see each other, but you are welcome to put any questions in the chat. And my colleague Matt is going to moderate the chat. And if there are any questions, she will forward them to me. Before we start, I wanted to share with you the video that shows the second edition of the Urban Greenhouse Challenge that was finished 1 year ago. So let's start with a short movie.
It's a challenge set out for students to design an urban farm, an urban greenhouse in China.
With the mission to help and innovate the development of future farming solutions.
Very interdisciplinary, so you have to design everything.
You can have super nice ideas for the social part, but you also have to talk to the business department, you have to talk to the architecture if that's really realistic.
It was a lot of time. I don't know if I can measure how much time it takes,
I would definitely do it again if they'd ask me, but I really didn't know it would be so big.
We had 23 floors of stuff actually in the building, and that makes it really cool actually.
You're building it brick by brick, from energy systems to social impact, and that is the challenge.
So, nervous yet?
A little bit. Healthy nerves.
At first it was a bit nerve-wracking, of course, but then afterwards it was just exciting and it was nice to see the reactions of the jury. And
It feels really good that after you put all the effort in, you're finally standing here as well.
It's incredible. We see that every team has made a very good job, and it's very exciting that we can make this too.
I think we had a lot of ups and downs like every team, but in the end I think it's incredible the outcome that we achieved.
Not ticking the boxes, but you're designing the boxes that need to be ticked. So you're really building from the ground up, and you're so free in what you're doing, and you're encountering things that you would never encounter in a regular course.
I'm proud of what we have made.
Sure, yeah. Like it's already gonna be on my resume. So.
Yeah, and you only started from a piece of land, and now you got this.
Welcome viewers at home, and welcome here, audience, to the Urban Greenhouse Challenge of 2020. But the journey to the grand finale has been tough.
We need innovation, so that's why these challenges like this are very important, not only in an international context, also for the Dutch farmers and horticulture.
What's exciting to see is that this idea is no longer just an idea, that it's just a student challenge to look at what the future might be. I think what really get out is you think immediately, how do I implement this ideas, concept, the integration with businesses, with government, and around the world.
And the winner of the challenge is Team...
It's all the teamwork from everybody for 10 months, so yeah, we made it.
Yay!
Okay, so that was the last edition of the Urban Greenhouse Challenge. I hope that this video gives you a little bit of an idea of what the challenge is about, how it feels to participate, and how the big day of the grand finale looks like. But today's session is really about the new edition of the Urban Greenhouse Challenge, the one that is going to start after the summer holidays. So let me share with you a presentation that describes this challenge a little bit more in detail. Okay. So Urban Greenhouse Challenge, basically it's a student competition that Wageningen University organizes every second year. We started with the first edition in 2018. It was to celebrate 100 years of Wageningen University. And now we are 2 editions further, about to start the 3rd edition, which is very special since we're going to give it a specific topic, which is social impact. So as I said, the challenge is organized by Wageningen University. As a university, we specialize on topics related to quality of life in the urban, but also rural areas. And this challenge is very important for us because it brings a lot of elements of expertise of Wageningen University into one student competition. The 3rd edition is organized in collaboration with University of District of Columbia. So it's based on a location in Washington, D.C., and the university we are working with is a local university out there with, as they call themselves, Public Historically Black Urban Focused Land-Granted University in Washington, D.C. And it's their, they see it as a part of their responsibility to make an impact on local population of Washington, D.C. So that's why they're our partner in this challenge. So what is the challenge about? Let me just move myself a little bit so I don't distract you from the bullet points. So in the Urban Greenhouse Challenge, we really ask students to think about urban farming and how to make it innovative, attractive way of producing food in this urban settings. In the 1st and the 2nd edition, in every edition, we have a little bit different setup. So the 1st edition was based on a location in Amsterdam, where students had to think about come up with an idea to restore an old historical area into something new. The 2nd edition was based in China, and back then students had really like a green field where they could imagine anything they wanted and build the urban greenhouse of their dreams. In this 3rd edition, we have another setting again. As I mentioned before, it's a Washington, D.C. In the USA, where the context also defines a specific setup of the challenge. So we really want students to think about how you bring the urban farming back into this specific context. So the Urban Greenhouse Challenge is a multidisciplinary student competition. It's open to students worldwide, and it's a very interesting, immersive learning experience. And it's about, well, coming up with new solutions, using the knowledge that you already have from your studies, and working interdisciplinary with students with different backgrounds. The students can come from one university, but it's not necessary. In the 1st and the 2nd edition, there were interdisciplinary, inter-university teams who were very successful. So if you are now watching this online session and you are studying in Wageningen, but you are not from the Netherlands, but from Brazil, for instance, you can, of course, contact your friends in Brazil and try to form a Dutch, Brazilian team, or any combination possible. As I mentioned, this edition of the challenge is a social impact edition. So the call for this challenge is develop an urban farming site that significantly improves the quality of life of local residents in one of the most diverse lower income neighborhoods in Washington, D.C. So for the first time, we really specifically ask about creating social impact with your urban farm concept. And well, you need to tackle a couple of different problems with your proposal. So it is about eliminating food deserts to add to equality. Also work together with local residents to create this concept, and also collaborate with business partners. And you also need to integrate different aspects from social, economic, and environmental to technical. So it's quite a complex assignment where you need to consider different elements and be very creative. And as I mentioned, the teams who participate in the challenge need to be multidisciplinary. And this is because the assignment is also very multidisciplinary. So when you think about urban farming side, you might think, okay, it's really about food production. So I need to know what plants need to grow where, what kind of food production system I'm going to use, how it's going to look like. Of course, there is a big part on that. But you also need to think about how this concept fits the local social and economic context, and actually how it contributes to better well-being of the local citizens. So this socio-economic background, well, that also needs to be in the team. Next to that, we ask you to come up with an attractive and significant landmark site. So background in design, landscape architecture, that's another expertise that needs to come to the team. And of course, when you create an urban farm or urban farming site, well, you need to think about the entire economic story. So how it's going to make money, or how it's going to be run financially. So that's where the business expertise comes to place. So as you can see, it's a challenge that requires students from different disciplines to collaborate. And what we see often is that students from one or another university ask their friends from another university with extra background to support the team to combine those strengths. And this is a little bit about the location. So I mentioned that it's located in Washington, D.C., Ward 7. So as you can see on the picture, it's a little bit outside of the it's not downtown Washington, D.C. As it looks, so there is already an urban farm on that site. So it's not an assignment to develop something out of nothing, but it's rather an assignment to redevelop the existing site into something that really has a powerful effect on local neighborhoods. And soon we will share more information. So once you join the challenge, you actually will get a portfolio, like one document that really in detail describes how the site looks like, what are the local circumstances. So that is something that is going to be provided. And even though you will not get an opportunity to visit the Ward 7 in Washington, D.C., we'll provide a lot of information that hopefully will give you an idea that you have really been there and seen there, and you really understand what are you designing for. So this is the timeline of this challenge. The deadline for registration is 17th of October this year, so just after the holidays, when you are back to school, let's say. And we're going to start the challenge at the beginning of November. And to give everybody the same starting point, we'll organize a series of webinars where we'll explain some important elements of this challenge, important aspects. And you will have around 2 months to work on your first milestone. So this challenge is actually divided into 3 rounds. In every round ends with a selection moment. And in the first one, you really focus on describing, on analyzing the situation you are designing for and coming up with your first ideas. In the second round, that starts after the first selection moment, there are 20 teams that make it through, and those 20 teams need to take this initial idea much more into the detail. So you really need to work out every single aspect that I have mentioned earlier into a comprehensive and very clear plan. And we are not, you're not doing it alone. So we have, this is actually the most interesting part of the challenge as well. So we have entire program that helps you also to work out better your idea. So the second round, it starts with the digital site visit. That's the moment to explore the site with the local neighbors via online meetings. So we are planning some stakeholders meetings, but also meetings with people who are in Washington, D.C. and can kind of give you a better idea of how the site looks like, what are the problems there. So you can ask them any questions and you can explore it with them. And then we have moments when you get an opportunity to talk to experts and coaches from with different expertise who can also give you feedback on your ideas. So when we start the challenge, we recruit a diverse network of partners from different types of businesses. Think about indoor farming companies, consultancies, and so on. All those partners are coaching students. You can contact them via our online environment, but you also get to meet them during online speed dates and online consultations. So those are two moments where you really can get a lot of feedback on your idea. And we also provide in the second round some training. It could be on a pitch, on a social media presentation. So this is really an interesting round when when your learning curve is really going very high up. And it ends as the first one with the second milestone report, and that's the basis for your final entry. So actually, if you make it through the second round, the last round is really about working on the presentation of your idea. So you get a pitch training, and then at the finals, you are being judged on your final report, on your pitch, and on the way you answer the questions from the jury. So this is a little bit like how the challenge looks like. As I said, it's very nice learning experiences because you get to know the sites and the people who live there, as well as our partners, because you get this coaching from different companies all over the world and all over the different business profiles. You also get training, and you really work hard together with your teammates. And usually when people look back at their challenge experience, they say that this is really very incredible experience to learn from people from different disciplines and really come up with one solution together. So there are many different reasons why to join the challenge. Well, of course, you really contribute to creating new solutions and really creating positive impact, especially in this social impact edition, where your ideas might really help to improve the quality of life of people who live in Ward 7. I talked about all the learning opportunities within the challenge, including webinars and trainings. Well, and of course, as part of this learning, you get a lot of new skills related to marketing, teamwork, entrepreneurship, and that's something that you can really show on your CV. You can really say, okay, by participation in this challenge, I have really developed myself. There's this element of boosting your career. So by networking in our partners and coaches, you really get to know many companies better, and you get a chance to really, well, talk to people who might later hire you. And you, of course, get also exposure, especially if you make it to the finals, because we pay special attention to the finalists of the challenge. We promote them. So, for instance, if you are into building your LinkedIn profile, you can really use this challenge to create your presence on the LinkedIn. And of course, there is a prize pool, or there is a prize. The winner gets 10,000 euros. And total prize pool is 15,000 euros. So there is something to go for. And as you can read here, the students were of the previous 2 editions were really enthusiastic about the experience. You have also seen it in the movie. So it's about, I told you about this combining different imagination, innovation, and knowledge, and about really following your interest in urban farming, if you have that one. Well, I talked a little bit about what does it take. So a multidisciplinary team, that's really a must. So if you join this challenge, you need to create a team. And we help a little bit by organizing a matchmaking event prior to this competition, but it's really up to you. So when you join the challenge, you have to have a team. When you are part of the team, it takes approximately 1 day per week throughout this entire challenge. There are, of course, periods when it's much more intensive and some more leisure periods. Well, you have to have a relevant expertise. As I said, it's quite broad. So usually people who are interested in this topic, they really fit into the challenge. If you're studying, well, maybe if you're studying aerospace engineering, maybe it's a little bit less relevant, but in most cases, you can really use your knowledge into this specific concept. Well, team working skills, of course, that's important. You still develop it throughout the challenge, but you need to have this willingness to work in a team. And I think what's most important is really lots of creativity and motivation. Motivation, it's a long challenge. It asks a lot of stamina to go through it. So this motivation and creativity are really the drives who take you throughout the challenge. And being entrepreneurial, it's important because we don't take you by the hand in this challenge. So we provide opportunities, but you really need to grab them and use them and make most of them. So that's very briefly the overview of the 3rd edition of the Urban Greenhouse Challenge. As I mentioned, the deadline for registration is 17 October, and you can register on our website, urbangreenhousechallenge.nl. The website also contains more information about the challenge, but we are still updating it. So in coming 2 weeks, you might still check it once again for some updates. We are also posting a lot about the challenge on our social media channels for student challenges. And for any questions, you can contact for student challenges. But actually, since we are all here now, it's a moment for you to ask questions via the chat. So I will now check the chat, and that's the end of my presentation. Go ahead with asking the questions. So I saw a question from Marlou. Is the winning plan also implemented? Well, that depends on how well it fits the local context. So on one hand, we really strive for innovation in this challenge, and we really don't want that specific heuristical or very specific elements really constrain you. You are not working for a client. So it might result that some elements of your plan don't really fit and are not implementable for this reason. But our partners in Washington, D.C. are definitely interested in the ideas and looking for the things that they can implement. So there's willingness. The question always is how possible is to implement it. So, yes. Are there any other questions? Okay, I see Nicola is asking, is it going to start anytime soon? I see that it will start shortly. Yes, so the start date is 3rd November. That's when we have a kickoff meeting in Wageningen. And you are welcome to register by 17th of October. I see another question from Nicolo. Is there a platform where to look for members for our groups? Yes, that's a very good question. So when you register for the challenge, by going to urbangreenhousechallenge.nl/registration, there you can say that you are looking for a team or looking for team members. So via the platform, there's a possibility to already look for other people who are interested. Otherwise, what we often see, it's really like asking around your friends or posting somewhere on social media. That might also be a good strategy. And as I said, somewhere halfway October, maybe September, we'll organize this matchmaking event. And that's meant specifically for teams who are looking for one specific team member or for a team member with a specific expertise to get in contact with each other. Is physical presence required in some steps of the timeline? At the finale. Otherwise, we organize this challenge mostly online. So most of the activities will be online. And when possible, we'll invite online audiences to join. And do you receive a proof of participation? Yes, the participants get a certificate from us. And what might be interesting for students from Wageningen, we also have a course that you can take on top of the challenge. It helps you to reflect on how you participate in the challenge. And once you complete this course, you get 12 study points for your participation in the course and in the challenge. So that's a very nice opportunity. And since very recent, we also have edu badges for the participants of the challenge who study at Wageningen University. So it's an online badge that you can put on your LinkedIn profile, for instance, that shows I have participated in the Urban Greenhouse Challenge. I see a question from Nicola. What's the name of the course? I think it's called Student Challenge, but you can send me an email and then I can look for the code for you. Again, it's only for Wageningen students. And I see also a question from Yvonne. Is the challenge open to everyone from anywhere of the world? Yes, it is open to all students all over the world, but it's indeed mandatory to be a student. So this challenge is open to bachelor, master, and PhD students, although there's a specific limitation of number of PhD students. I would need to check how many are at the moment, but they should, I think, not exceed 50% of the members of the team. So, given your profile, Yvonne, I'm not sure if you can participate in the challenge. If you are not student anymore, I think it will be very difficult. Yes. Any other questions? Maybe what's good for you to know, we are planning to organize another info meeting somewhere in September, I think in the 3rd week of September. And the idea is that we also invite them, the people from Washington, D.C., to tell a little bit more about the local context over there. So that might be also an interesting moment to join. And I see Annabelle is asking, can recent graduates also participate? So if you graduate during the challenge, that's not a problem. At the moment when you join the challenge, you should still be a student. That's a little bit how it works. See that Maud has started also a poll. If you want to participate in the challenge, see, everybody is saying yes. Okay, some people are still doubting. You can join after the info session in September. Yes. Okay. It's good to know you're enthusiastic about it. Well, if there are no other questions, I think I would like to close the meeting now. I hope that you have a little bit of an idea of the challenge. Our idea with organizing this meeting still before the summer was that we hope that you will now get a little bit inspired, go home, meet your friends, tell them about it, and maybe come up after holidays with a team. That would be very great. Oh, Marlo, you say, I feel like I'm a bit young. Well, that still can work. I think Maud, who is now moderating the chat, she also joined the challenge as a bachelor student. So maybe, Maud, you can still answer in the chat how you feel about your experience as bachelor student participating in the challenge. And I see one more question from Nicolo. What is the size of a group supposed to be? That's a very good question. We get this question more often. Usually, the teams are between 5 and 10 people. We had once a very big team of 20 plus students. And also sometimes very small teams. Usually that doesn't work very well because you really need those different expertises. So I would say the sweet point is somewhere between 5 and 10. Yes. Well, if you have any other questions, you are very welcome to write an email to studentchallenges@vroom.nl. We'll help you during the summer. And our office is in Plus Ultra 2, the new building. You might want to buy us a visit one time and then have a chat about the challenge. Well, pity that we cannot see each other. But it was really great to meet you online, and I hope that we will have a follow-up after the summer. Have a great summer, and thank you for joining. Bye-bye.